Lacy Fletcher was a 36-year-old woman living in the small, close-knit community of Slaughter, Louisiana. Known for its quiet streets and friendly neighbors, Slaughter was the kind of place where everyone knew each other. Lacy, however, led a life that was far from ordinary. She had autism and social anxiety, conditions that made it difficult for her to interact with others and navigate the complexities of daily life. These challenges often left her feeling isolated and anxious, even in familiar settings. Lacy relied heavily on her parents, Sheila and Clay Fletcher, for care and support. They were her primary caregivers, responsible for her well-being and daily needs. Despite their efforts, the burden of care was immense and the cracks in their ability to provide adequate support began to show. Sadly, Lacy's life ended tragically in January 2022. The serene facade of their suburban home masked the grim reality that unfolded within its walls. She was found deceased in her family home under circumstances that were both shocking and heartbreaking. The discovery of her body sent shockwaves through the community and beyond. The circumstances surrounding her death shocked the community and sparked outrage across the nation. People were horrified to learn about the conditions in which Lacy had been living and the apparent neglect she had suffered. Lacy's story is a stark reminder of the vulnerability of individuals with disabilities. It underscores the importance of vigilance and compassion in ensuring that they receive the care and support they need. It highlights the critical importance of adequate care and support, not just from family members, but from the community and social services as well. The tragedy of Lacy's death serves as a call to action for better resources and support systems. The case also raises serious questions about parental responsibility and the role of society in protecting those who cannot protect themselves. It challenges us to consider how we can better support caregivers and ensure that vulnerable individuals are not left to suffer in silence. Lacy's case is not just about one family's tragic failure. It is a reflection of systemic issues that need to be addressed to prevent similar tragedies in the future. It's a wake-up call for all of us to be more vigilant and proactive in safeguarding the well-being of vulnerable individuals within our communities. We must come together to create a society where no one is left behind and everyone receives the care and support they deserve. The details of Lacy Fletcher's condition when she was found are deeply disturbing. The scene that greeted the authorities was nothing short of a nightmare. Police discovered her emaciated body on a living room couch, a sight that would haunt even the most seasoned officers. The house, which stood in a state of disrepair, was a silent witness to the horrors that had unfolded within its walls. It was clear that she had been neglected for a prolonged period. The scene was horrific, with signs of extreme neglect and abandonment evident in every corner of the room. Lacy's body was covered in feces and urine, a testament to the unimaginable suffering she had endured. The forensic team meticulously documented the scene, piecing together the tragic story of her final days. She was partially sunken into the couch, her frail body almost merging with the decaying furniture. It was a haunting image that spoke volumes about the extent of her suffering. It appeared she had been sitting in the same position for years, a prisoner in her own home. The neglect was so severe that it was hard to comprehend how anyone could endure such conditions. The coroner's report painted a grim picture of Lacy's final days. It detailed the extent of her suffering and the severe medical neglect she had endured. It concluded that she had suffered from severe medical neglect, a condition that had been ongoing for an extended period. The report was a damning indictment of the care she had received. Her death was ruled a homicide, a result of the extreme neglect she had suffered. The courtroom was filled with a palpable sense of outrage as the details of her case were revealed. The cause was listed as severe neglect with contributing factors of malnutrition, acute ulcerations, and bacterial infections. The medical team could only speculate on the pain she must have endured. The discovery of Lacy's body sent shockwaves through the community. Neighbors and community members were left grappling with the reality of what had happened in their midst. It raised immediate questions about how such horrific abuse could occur unnoticed. The community was left to wonder how they had missed the signs and what could have been done to prevent such a tragedy. The case of Lacy Fletcher serves as a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance and the need to look out for one another. The tragic case of Lacy Fletcher shines a harsh light on the complex issue of neglect. Neglect is often a silent form of abuse. It can be physical, emotional, or medical. In Lacy's case, it was a horrifying combination of all three. Physical neglect was evident in the deplorable conditions she was found. Emotional neglect was apparent in the lack of stimulation and social interaction she endured. Medical neglect was the most shocking aspect. Lacy's parents, despite having the means to do so, failed to seek medical attention for their daughter. This neglect ultimately led to her agonizing death. Lacy's case forces us to confront the uncomfortable reality that neglect can happen anywhere. It can happen to anyone. Section 5. The weight of parental responsibility. Lacy Fletcher's case raises profound questions about parental responsibility. Parents have a fundamental duty to care for their children. This duty extends beyond providing basic necessities like food and shelter. It encompasses ensuring their physical, emotional, and medical well-being. When a child has disabilities, this responsibility becomes even more crucial. Parents of children with disabilities face unique challenges. They may require additional support and resources. However, these challenges do not absolve parents of their fundamental duty of care. In Lacy's case, her parents failed to fulfill this duty in the most tragic way imaginable. Section 6. A call to action: protecting the vulnerable. Lacy Fletcher's story is a stark reminder that we must be vigilant in protecting vulnerable individuals. We cannot remain silent when we suspect abuse or neglect. We must report our concerns to the appropriate authorities. There are resources available to help families struggling to care for loved ones with disabilities. We must work to break down the stigma associated with seeking help. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that tragedies like Lacy's never happen again. We must advocate for stronger social safety nets, increased funding for disability services, and greater public awareness about the signs of abuse and neglect. Section 7. The ripple effect: social and systemic implications. The tragic death of Lacy Fletcher had a profound impact that extended far beyond her family and community. It was a wake-up call that resonated across the nation, shaking the very foundations of our social and systemic structures. It sparked a national conversation about the systemic failures that allowed such a horrific case of neglect to occur. People from all walks of life began to question the effectiveness of the systems in place to protect the most vulnerable among us. Many questioned how a family could escape the notice of social services for so long. The case brought to light the glaring gaps in the social safety net, prompting a deeper examination of the protocols and procedures that govern social services. The case highlighted the need for improved communication and coordination among agencies tasked with protecting vulnerable adults. It became evident that a lack of interagency collaboration was a significant factor in the failure to prevent such tragedies. It also exposed the lack of resources available to families caring for loved ones with disabilities. Many families struggle in silence without the necessary support and resources to provide adequate care. The public outcry following Lacy's death led to calls for legislative reform. People demanded changes that would ensure no other family would have to endure such a tragedy. Advocates demanded stricter laws and harsher penalties for those found guilty of neglecting vulnerable adults. They called for comprehensive reforms that would address the root causes of systemic failures and provide better protection for those who cannot protect themselves. The case of Lacy Fletcher serves as a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance, compassion, and systemic accountability. It underscores the need for a collective effort to create a society where every individual, regardless of their circumstances, is valued and protected. Section 8. Learning from tragedy: a brighter future. While Lacy Fletcher's story is one of unimaginable suffering, it also presents an opportunity for growth and change. We can honor Lacy's memory by learning from the mistakes that led to her tragic death. We must work tirelessly to create a society where vulnerable individuals are valued, protected, and given the support they need to thrive. This includes providing adequate funding for disability services, ensuring access to quality healthcare, and fostering a culture of empathy and compassion. By working together, we can create a brighter future where tragedies like Lacy's are a relic of the past. Section 9. Conclusion: remembering Lacy, seeking change. The tragic case of Lacy Fletcher is a stark reminder of the human capacity for both love and cruelty. It is a story that should never be forgotten. Lacy's death serves as a powerful call to action. We must all be more vigilant in protecting those who cannot protect themselves. We must demand justice for victims of abuse and neglect. And we must work tirelessly to create a world where all individuals, regardless of their abilities, are treated with dignity, respect, and compassion. Let Lacy's legacy be one of positive change. Let her story inspire us to create a more just and compassionate world for all.